Hey guys, welcome to the Steve and Crypto Show, presented by thestevestrout.com. I'm Steve.
I'm Crypto Zoo.
And this episode, we're going to talk to an old musician friend named Mike Fernbacher. He's a really good singer, songwriter, guitar player who has this really great hard rock band, but they have this unique gimmick that is pretty different, and I really want to talk to him because I think he does this alien gimmick where, you know, his band like literally dresses as aliens, and I thought it was right up Crypto's alley to have him on, with Crypto being a musician and the aliens and, you know, the cryptozoology and monsters and stuff. So I thought we should have Mike Fernbacher on the show. And in the interview, we talk about, you know, his life touring on the road and all kinds of stuff, having been in a band on a major label in the past and working with a new indie band, which is in some of the adventures they've been on. They've done some interesting stuff. But anyways, what have you been up to, man? How's it going?
It's been good. I've just been busy working and getting into the Halloween spirit. Actually, I shouldn't say getting into it. I'm always in the spirit, but just getting a little bit more excited for, you know, the season of the pumpkin. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to, talk with Fern as well, but I had a chance to listen to your conversation with him. I think that all of our listeners are going to enjoy it. It's pretty fun. You know, his time in, in other bands and his current project. It's a fun listen. So, but, I've just been, watching a lot of Halloween movies and got costumes for the boys, and Logan wants nothing to do with his Transformers costume. I don't know why he picked it out and now he doesn't want to wear it, but
I guess you'll have to wear it, right?
I guess I gotta be Optimus Prime. Good luck fitting into it. I've been watching, not as many Halloween movies as I should. You know, I feel like I should have more under my belt. What are we, 11 days into the month now? So, you know, I feel like I should have a little bit more under my belt, but I've watched a few like, Wishmaster. And I kind of forgot how good it is. You know, Greg Nicotero is involved with the special effects, and for those who don't know, he's kind of the mind behind Walking Dead. Well, one of them. So he did the special effects in the movie, and then, you know, there's, cameo appearances from Tony Todd, who is Candyman, and, you got, Freddy Krueger in there, Kane Hodder was in it, Jason Voorhees, and Wes Craven, of course, executive produced it. There's just a handful of iconic people in the horror genre that were a part of that movie, and it's been so long, I forgot. So,
yeah, man, I know I've seen it, but it was a long, long time ago. And that movie's probably like 30 years old now.
Came out in 92.
Okay, pretty close to 30 years.
Yeah.
Well, damn, that's a long time. Getting old, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll have to, maybe I'll add that to my list. I'm doing one of the networks on TV launched like this 31 Nights of Halloween campaign, and they're showing all like the, you know, like the good movies like Hocus Pocus and Beetlejuice and all that, and they're showing them all like all month, and they're using their little 31 Nights of Halloween hashtag, but I kind of hijacked it and making it my own thing, which I mean, whatever, but obviously I'm watching either a horror or Halloween themed movie every day this month. And like you said, today is the 11th. I mean, this episode will probably go out in the next few days, but people listening, we're recording this on the 11th, and so far I've managed to find time to squeeze in a movie every day. Some horror, some a little more PG because my fiance is not super big into horror, but she loves like like Halloween spooky movies. Like we watched Monster House the other day, which I'd never seen before.
I love that one.
That was really cool. Like it started off really dark. Like honestly, I fell asleep in the last little while of the movie, but I watched the first half of it. I am gonna go back and finish it, but that shit started really dark when like the mean old man just fucking drops dead on his lawn. Like this is a kids movie, isn't it? Like God, like what kind of dark shit is this? But it was good though. I need to finish watching it because I was really enjoying that.
If you're looking for another one, I'm sorry to interrupt. I was going to say, if you're looking for another one that's in that vein to maybe show your fiance, I suggest Monsters vs. Aliens.
Monsters, Aliens, yeah. I think she might have recommended that. But I was going to say another good one to watch with your family is, I know you watched it too, is Hubie Halloween on Netflix, the new Adam Sandler movie.
Yeah, that was fun.
It is like classic Adam Sandler. But it had a lot of it had quite a cast in that movie. Like surprisingly, seeing some of the people pop up, it was like basically everybody who's ever been in a Happy Madison movie, and a few other people. Like I didn't expect to see Shaquille O'Neal, and his radio voice was like
a fun little role for him.
Yeah. But that was good, man. Like Netflix has a couple really good movies that you could watch with the fam, like that. And we watched, I think it's called Vampires versus the Bronx, which was really cool. It was like kind of one of the movies like in the vein of like, Stranger Things. It's like the pre-adolescent kids like on their little adventure to, save the day, and they fight vampires in their hood and stuff. It was cool. I enjoyed it. The vampires were pretty cool. They were well done. There's a lot of humor in there, and I think you dig it. You should check it out for sure.
Yeah, I got to jump on that train. I'm a big fan of vampire movies. Most of them,
like Twilight.
I said most of them. And I said vampire movies. I don't really count that as one myself.
I was just fucking with you. That's trash. But
do me if you want. But anyway, I'm a big fan of Blade, Fright Night. What's the other one? Daywalkers. That was a pretty fun one. Kind of a different concept for a vampire film.
Right.
And actually there's a new one that you can catch on Shudder, and it's called The Shed. And I don't want to give it away, but I highly suggest watching that one for this month.
Yeah, like there's a ton of good stuff on Shudder. Like, I mean, you could get a free trial and check the show out, and just go to Shudder, and just everything on there is amazing. A lot of good documentaries. The Last Drive-In with Joe Bob Briggs, which I always try to push on you, but you're like fighting it for some reason.
I have not denied it. I just have a long list of things to watch. There's so much content out there.
But yeah, man, that's about it. Getting ready for Halloween, and I think you guys are going to dig this interview. There might be some technical difficulties in there, a couple issues with the sound throughout. I think there was maybe like a bad internet connection somewhere, because like we said, a lot of these interviews and stuff, we zoom in because social distancing, and also I'm not going to travel 3,000 miles to interview somebody. That's just preposterous to even consider.
I feel like Zoom is pretty convenient, and I feel like it's opened up doors for a lot of people, just having this app available now. It's opened up opportunities for more people to have fun little interviews and conversations like this.
Yeah, I mean that, and just, like with the Fern interview, me and him haven't we've been in contact, but we haven't spoke like face to face in like 20 years. You know what I mean? And he was somebody that, were pretty cool. Like, we would go and follow the band he was in and hit a lot of their shows and, like, hang out backstage with him. And that was pretty cool.
So he was probably happy to catch up with
a real fan. It was great to catch up. And another thing, like, you missed the interview, but Fern's going to be back on the show and we're going to talk more. And because, like, we barely even touch on the fact that he's like super nerd, and we already plan on like discussing Mandalorian when it comes out. So we'll probably have an episode where we talk about the new season of Mandalorian, and we'll have Fern join us, and that'll be cool. He's a good dude. But why don't we go ahead and get to the interview? So you guys chat with Mike Fernbacher from the band Brothers of Alien Rock. And he actually sent us a few songs that we're going to play throughout the interview for you, too. So I think you guys will dig this stuff. Enjoy it.
Enjoy it. Thanks for listening.
Hello. This is Agoro, host of the Agoro Show. And you are listening to the Steve and Crypto Show. So keep your ears open and your mouth shut.
Hey, welcome to the show, guys. This is Steve, and I am going solo, chatting with an old friend I haven't chatted with in a really, really long time. We were just discussing before we got rolling. Probably been damn near 20 years, which says how old I'm getting. So yeah, this time we're hanging with Mike Fernbacher, Fern. I'll call him Fern from Brothers of Alien Rock. How you been, buddy?
Good to be here, Steve. Great to see you finally Zoom person.
Yeah,
kind of like the thing you're to do, anyways. But yeah, I'm psyched. I'm really psyched for you. I know you've had the website. I know you've been to a lot of cons and been in the scene for many years and stuff. But it's cool to see like their level, because you're just going to capture more people in this. We all hope to capture more people in these other formats. Like podcasts are huge, man, and they do numbers for everybody, so it's just cool. It's cool to see you doing this now. I'm stoked to be here to, as a friend, as a follower, a fan, everything, it's cool to be a part of it when things are kicking off early, like you guys, you're just, a few episodes deep, man. It's nice to be here. And I think am I the first musical guest ish?
You are. Yeah. Well, I mean, we played a song from Crypto's hip hop group, but we use a clip from it actually as like our little intro until we come up with something even cooler. But we played the song off of that. So I guess I don't know if that counts, but you're like official. And it's funny that you're like, say you're a fan of what I do. That's pretty cool. It's like basically how we met, me being a fan of what you do, and like chasing your band, chasing an old band around the Northeast, and good times, man. But since we're mentioning bands and stuff, I guess 2020 has been a rough year. I guess we got another fuck you from 2020 with the loss of Eddie Van Halen.
Yeah.
That's a tough one. Like I said, I've never really been a huge Van Halen fan, but I did mention that, I tried to dabble in guitar and I didn't do very well, but like, I know the influence and the impact he's had on just guitar playing, just the hard rock genre and just music in general. He's like the guy, a legend. So what are your thoughts on that, man? How has he impacted you? And
well, dude, I mean, it's like there's so many great guitar players, and being a guitar god doesn't exactly mean you're shredding as fast as you can. That's what it evolved to for many years. But for me, it's funny, man. I follow his son Wolfgang Van Halen, and Wolfie he posted it right away, and I just saw it pop up within a minute. I'm like, oh my god! So I'm like, I was, oh my god! I was like immediately just pouring out to everybody, because for me, the first time I heard Van Halen, I think I was like 7 or 8 or something. And I was not even into music. I was like into baseball and football, and like I had a very sports, type family in Cleveland, So the Browns, the Indians, the whole thing. And, into that. And so, but when I first listened to it as being like a non-musician first, I was sitting in one of these big speakers in my aunt's house, big 70s speakers, if you can imagine, like super, when you're a little kid, everything looks big, but big knobs, big, total 70s action. And I put the tape in, Van Halen 1 and tape, it has another thing, put the tape in and didn't stream it actually, put the tape in. And when like Eruption came on, I didn't even know what it was. I didn't even like, I guess maybe, when they had to Run 'Em with the Devil was the first song, but like when that came on, I didn't even know it was a guitar. I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like I had no clue. And then, but it stuck with me at like 8 years old. It stuck with me. And it was like, and eventually when I started playing guitar a few years later, I kind of like, I don't know what it was. I mean, I started on acoustic, but I immediately was gravitating towards him and going back to when I was a kid, like, what was that? And I just obsessed. I was completely obsessed with him for several years. And the secret is that I learned Van Halen licks on acoustic guitar. So anybody that knows Van Halen, there's some very difficult, like finger stretching stuff for a 13, 14-year-old kid to try to wrap his hands around the acoustic guitar and make it sound like the electric was, it wasn't happening the first year, of course. But when I got an electric guitar a year later, after like trying to pummel those riffs and figure him out, it like came, a little bit easier to me. So, it was, dude, he was a huge influence, and it's just, and people that understand, like, like I was like, when I found out, I was like dropping my son off, 13, right when I started playing guitar, I dropped him off at music lessons, and we heard, and like, oh my God. And I went into the music store, and there's like, like a millennial girl in there at the front desk. I'm like, oh my God, I'm like pummeled, I'm like, oh my God, like, is this legend, that this dude that I modeled myself after the first several years of my life as a guitar player, just passed. And I'm just like, and she's like, who was it? And like, Van Halen. He's like, oh, I think I heard of him, maybe. And I was like, oh man, I wasn't even going to go there, but like, it's, you work in a music store and you don't know this guy. So, whatever it is, it's a little bit, I know, area, super legend, man. And the thing that people have to realize if they don't know Van Halen is that like it's his guitar. He was a great guitar player, but he was great because he like completely revolutionized. He played piano on guitar basically by using finger tapping and all that stuff. And people that are maybe non-musical may not understand, but he just turned it upside down. He like made his own guitars from scratch, and they were shitty guitars. And that proved right there that it doesn't matter what you have if it's the person behind the instrument. So, and I just, dude, and he was a great player, but he's also like, he's just like, so like, fuck it. You know what I mean? Like he was, Like he's just very like whatever, which is very rock and roll, of course. But he was just like a smile on his face. And he always had, it's just I think I loved his playing. And I loved his like attitude. And I don't know, it kind of shaped, a bit of, there's a bunch of characters in my life that shaped me, but he was one of them. My dad and him and Harrison Ford. And, there's a whole bunch of things that shaped me, man. That but huge, Van Halen's huge impact, bro. I mean, my first gig I ever had was in ninth grade, and it was a new high school for me. I really didn't know everybody. I knew some people from elementary and middle school, but it's high school. It was a Spanish class, and we had an extra credit project. So me and this buddy of mine, John Merck, best friend from back in the day, when we were little kids, both loved Van Halen, and we decided we were going to do as an extra credit Spanish project. We were going to do "You Really Got Me" for the class, but in Spanish. So we got a band together. I was our first band, and we went to the auditorium in high school, and the place was packed, like all the way to the gills. And that was our first gig. You Really Got Me from Van Halen Spanish. So, And soon as I heard the news that he passed, like I got a phone call from him, like 2 minutes in. It's like, dude, did you hear? And we're singing on the road, on the phone, and crying. So but yeah. So yeah, big impact, Van Halen.
Yeah, man, it's a big loss. Dude is definitely an innovator, and
yeah, that was true.
Hopefully, I know he'd been sick off and on for a while, so hopefully he can rest now and
cancer.
Kick ass up in heaven, man.
That's right, man. There's a lot up there. I'll be jamming with Hendrix and
start a hell of a band up there.
Yeah.
So who'd be the drummer? Who'd be the drummer? Bonham or Keith Moon?
I guess. Oh God, that's horrible, man. How could you say that? How could you put me to that task?
I love asking people that.
I mean, I know. I'm a little more partial to Bonham, but I know Moon was more the Flash player, super Flash. But I probably Bonham. I think it work out. So if you did Moon, well, Bonham was always held the time to do percussion, maybe, or two drummers. Didn't the Dead have two drummers? And then you could, guitar players, plenty of those guys. Chris Cornell would be great singing with Hendrix and Van Halen. But hey, dream band.
Dream band. There you
go.
A band that I would never want to join.
Yeah, I would
not anytime soon. Yeah.
No. Hear that, man?
Bad joke. I know.
Yeah.
But
So just starting back, if we want to go back in the beginning, man, I just thought about. It made me think about, when I was, like I said, when I was 8, when I first heard Van Halen. It kind of made me think about when I was listening to some. I think it might have been your pilot episode, or unless it was somewhere in between. I don't know. Crypto had mentioned him cryptology, right? That's his thing, right? He's into like cryptozoology, like the
the mystical monsters and Bigfoot and
right.
aliens and stuff, which is kind of fitting for.
Well, there's all sorts of tie-ins with us, me and you, and him. Do always about what he said about that with Bigfoot. I was thinking about again when I was back to 8 years old. A lot of shit happened then for me right at that age, because back then my first minglings with talking about monsters and like the first thing that I remember really when I guess it must have been 7 or 6. I would watch Search of, the show called In Search of, when it's definitely in the 70s, but it's In Search of, and Leonard Nimoy, who played Spock in the original Star Trek, he was the narrator of In Search of, and every week it was like In Search of Loch Ness Monster, In Search of Bigfoot, In Search of Aliens, In Search of all this stuff, and me and my grandfather would just hang out and watch this crazy shit, and like kind of like get me thinking, wow, what is that? And I kind of obsessed. Like I had all like there were sports going on, there was that going on with my grandpa, and it was the musical thing didn't happen until a little bit later. But and it's just funny to think. It's just funny that he's into that, and that was kind of like my first foray into the oddities of like what are these things? You know what I mean? The research part of it, and like and then like the same year or maybe the year before, like Star Wars. So it's like, and I was like a little guy standing in line there for these sold out shows that everybody's going to in the original Star Wars in '77. So, I'm putting a stamp on myself for sure. Old AF, old as fuck. So like, as far as just bringing it into the podcast, what it is, I mean, it's like the realm of what we're talking about. I mean, there was music there was that research and that like sort of like, is it real or not type of research. And then there was like sci-fi part of it for me, started with Star Wars, and it's like that, those three things, music and the research and the sci-fi part of it, all three of those things started for me super early, and they kind of all manifested, I think, kind of parallel to each other for years, decades and decades. And then, as we'll probably get to at some point here, they kind of all collided over the past 10 years. You know what I mean? you know.
So yeah, that's
yeah, I just wanted to
I'm
go back to the
thinking that Collision kind of had a big part in the Brothers of Alien Rock, which is the main reason I brought you on to talk about. So how did this band start? Like what obviously your childhood and stuff we've been talking about probably had a big part in inspiring the band coming together.
Yeah.
But like how
go
ahead.
How did it actually get to that point? Yeah. I mean, there's all these threads, like I said, all these threads of musical and research and fan stuff and geek stuff and everything, kind of like it's kind of rolling along, and sometimes one would pop over the other more than the other. As far as the Brothers of Alien Rock, I was living in Staten Island, New York, and it says my connection's unstable.
I'm getting a little weird sound from you, but
yeah. All right. But yeah, so I was in basically I grew up in Ohio. I moved to New York for a couple decades, and one of the big. We'll go back a little bit, but I'm gonna go back a little bit. But the first big band that I had several bands growing up and stuff in high school and everything. But the first big band I had that I got signed to, that I signed a big record label with, was called the Step Kings. And you guys can look that up. I don't think there's stepkings.com anymore. There's a Facebook page. You can find stuff. But so that was like late 90s, early 2000s kind of era stuff. But so that kind of went for several years, and things went great. We had, big radios back in the day then, and we traveled the world and did all sorts of fun stuff, put records out, and met a lot of great people, I'm talking to you right now. But that kind of faded out a bit, and I had to take a little break from it because I just had to kind of collect. And, when you're a musician, money comes and goes, even when you get big deals, things happens, and you got to regroup a little bit. So I kind of stepped out for a minute, always plotting and this and that, but I was just writing a lot for myself. And then there's always, and I had other bands. It was called Connect, Driven, some really great stuff that I put out, and produced some other bands like Trudge and all sorts of other things. Did a lot of stuff to keep music going. But when I moved from New York down to Florida, it takes a lot to move to another state, and we were starting to, we kind of like have to get rerouted and stuff. Had a little bit of a family going and stuff. So anyway, so I guess. I got there 2009, 2010. It got to be about 2012, and my wife was like, she knew I wasn't playing guitar as much or something. There was like a little period there because when you move, there was so much to do, like moving and setting everything up and jobs and this and that. And she's like, you got to get on that horse. What are you doing? So I got to give it to her, Sabrina. She really got me spurred to get back. With the original concept of, I miss playing live, and I missed, recording in a big way and everything, man. It's my blood, So anyway, so I just started writing a bunch of songs, and I was just by myself, and I was just kind of like, record. Well, I didn't have the greatest recording equipment back then. I think I had like a Yamaha, like 16 channels, like it wasn't even anything like now. It's so easy, like everything's free software to record. But it was like this little unit. Now we just record stuff, and eventually I amassed so much material. It's like I gotta at least find a drummer. I gotta kind of get back into this and see what I can do. And basically I found a guy. His name is Dave, and hit it off really good. And it was just the two of us for the longest time. And as we didn't even play gigs yet, and it was just the two of us. So I was thinking, wow, maybe it'll just be the two of us, and it'll be something like different. Like, I don't know if you remember this band called Local H.
Yep, I remember them. I was just going to mention them when you said it.
They were like bass, drummer, and a guitar player, right? Like a two-man band, sort of like Royal Blood's another new one that's Wait, did we get cut off? Are we still there, Steve?
We're still here. I'll cut some of this out.
Still here?
Sound is getting weird.
Oh, yeah.
I think maybe it might be your internet. I don't know.
Wait, hold on. Maybe. All right. You know what I could do, man? Just real quick. I have a super long cord. I wonder if I can just run it right from the, like, I'm going live. It's probably why. Maybe I should run a direct thing to the ether.
Yeah, you can try it if you want. I could cut out whatever. So.
Okay. Well, is it really bad, Ben? Has it been bad?
Well, there's a few
really
spots where it got a little weird, but I've had that happen, a couple little glitches, and it cleans up pretty well. Like when I run back to the file I get, like it's recording you clear, and it's going to send me what's coming through your end.
Okay.
So like,
so we'll just go. All right, it's fine. Yeah.
So we'll see. I mean, if it doesn't come out well,
all right, cool,
then
man. All right, so let's.
If it don't come through well, then we'll plan another chat session. Then I'll be 0 for 2 this week.
Yeah. Always, I tell you, back now, man. I just say they got voice. You could always like have some kind of backup recording thing, but I'm sure it'll be fine. But so where were we?
We're
here?
talking about your drummer.
So basically, from drummer, me and Dave, great drummer, man. He was down here in the scene before I moved down to Florida, a bunch of bands. But basically, I set up my guitars. 2 jacks coming out of them. 1 jack going to a bass rig, and 1 jack going to a guitar rig. So I basically were putting songs together where they'd have like I'd be able, just manipulate the song so they would, they'd have like a dynamic to them where they're just bass line, but sometimes there's only guitar, sometimes there's only bass. So it was basically a 2-man band. And if anybody knows like the latest version of something like that, Royal Blood, these guys from England, they're kind of doing the same kind of thing. Anyway, so we had that, and it was tough trying to find people in the beginning. There's a lot of like, we were just trying to go in the newspaper, Craigslist, like all this old school stuff, and eventually we did get a couple of guys to play with us. It's probably been fast forward. It's probably been at least a dozen members in it, because it's we're getting ahead of myself. Basically, the first show we had, I wanted to call it the Brothers of Alien Rock. I can't really remember where that came from, but I think it was. I'm not really sure exactly how it came about that, but the original idea was I never really expected to go so far with the image part of it. Like the idea really was that we had the first masks that we had were like these skull masks, and they were like only covered. They didn't cover the mouth. They just covered like the kind of the top of the eyes and stuff. And our first record Landing, if you, I don't know if I'll have to send you an actual physical copy of that, but inside that there's a picture of the original masks. And I only wanted to put the masks on because the idea was I didn't really want anybody to focus on who we like, what we looked like or who we were. I just wanted to be about the music. You know what I mean? So I was just like, because at that point it was like, I'm not, at that point I wasn't like 19 years old and like, like, I don't know. I mean, the industry, music industry at that time, especially too, I guess maybe even now, kind of focuses more on the youth and stuff. And I was like, being where I'm at, I'm like, at that point, I'm like,
Basically, you're saying you didn't look cool enough anymore.
So
basically, you're saying you didn't look cool enough anymore.
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, I feel like, I was getting all like, I was getting all insecure. I didn't feel like I was cool. I was like, you know what? I just, I'm just gonna put a mask on, and nobody needs to know who or what. Just listen to what I'm doing. Yeah. And that was the whole idea. And eventually we got more members, and it was like a 4-piece. It was a lot of different things. Sometimes it was 2. Sometimes I'd play bass, sometimes I'd play guitar. Sometimes, it'd be a 4-piece, a 3-piece, a 2-piece. You have all these different versions of the band, but eventually it just kept going. I think the breaking point was we're like, okay, we got all these different masks, all sorts of different masks. We do like wrestling looking masks, and like you look like Nacho Libre hanging out, all these different things. And then And then we decided to get, well, I said, why don't we get spacesuits, man? We're brothers of alien. Why don't we get spacesuits? So I got these cheap, like these onesie kind of silver suits that are one size fits all. And bro, it wasn't my size. It was not my size. Like, like there's two guys that are in the band who are little, like not little, but they're like a little shorter than me. They're like 5'8", a little, smaller frame. I'm like, whatever. I don't know, 5'10", 5'11". I'm not really, I've always been a husky dude. And I was barely getting in this thing. And it was like, kind of like almost like people, I'm sure, were saying, wow, man, I just got to watch this because I can't look away. And the other guy, Billy, who's in the band, he's much bigger than me. And he had all sorts of stuff poking out, man. So it was yeah. Eventually, the suits took a different form. We got heads. We had this girl came in and made these heads for us, and then we hooked up with Beta Brand, this company that got these suits, these silver suits. So it kind of evolved over years, and that was 2012, 2013, and kind of evolved like that all the way until like 2018, right? And through all that period, man. So we put out, and we're going tonight. There's a little break was in there, but what happened? So we put out our first record, 6-song EP, Landing, and you could find all these. You could find anywhere, all digital platforms, iTunes, Google Play, all that stuff, Reverb Nation. And that was cool. So, and that was just me and Dave who did that. And that went well, man. We used that as a springboard to get through a lot of shows, played a lot of mostly stuff in Florida, And then somewhere between Landing and the next record we did, another song EP. Somewhere in between those records, like after the first one. Oh yeah, we my friends from El Nino. Latin metal band, Jersey Latin metal band. They've been around for years. They actually signed the same. They were signed to Roadrunner Records too, that I signed to with the Step Kings back in the day. So we've been friends. We were in the scene for years together. I played in El Nino for a while. I was like fill-in guitar player. We toured and stuff. And I was roommates with the drummer Dave. So yeah, real tight family thing in Jersey there. But anyway, so. Going back to Florida now with the band, I'm jumping all over the place. First record out, Landing came out, and then El Nino came to town, and I kind of reconnected with them, and I met up with all the guys, and I had a pretty good discussion with Christian Machado, who was there at the time for them, and he was really into the EP. He was like, I guess he's a fan, of Step Kings and stuff too, and friend, we playing together. He's like, hey man, what are you doing? What's this next thing you're gonna do? And I'm like, I don't know. So I said, well, you want to be part of it? So yeah. So basically, you jump on and produce next EP. So that's what happened. So we got together and we just, I had every time I do a record, I have at least 50 or 60 songs to bring to the table. So try to whittle that down to 10 songs or 5 songs or 6 songs to put out. It's like, it's torture. So to have a producer and somebody to say, yeah, that's good. Yeah. Yeah, that's, that could need a little work. It's good. It's good to have that kind of objective view when you're trying to make something. So the second record, We Come From Outer Space, I did with Christian Machado. And I pretty much did everything on that record. I had guys and stuff recording wise, just didn't work out. I pretty much did everything on that record except for one song. We did Locked Out Heaven. We did a metal version of the Bruno Mars song, and that was me on guitar and bass and vocals, and then I had Billy Rufrano was on guitar. And Dave is playing drums, but everything else, Christian and I had done the rest of the record. So, man. So that's another one. So We Come From Outer Space, also on all the platforms, and you can find those everywhere as well, YouTube, all that stuff. So, and also there was a lot of growth between those two records because when we were doing basically because there was a lot of in writing, but also a lot of growth in playing live and figuring out what the hell we were doing here, because we were playing a lot of shows, and I was like, I kind of want to play these shows. I'm like kind of burnt, like, you know, when we were hanging out, like, you know, when you're seeing the club shows and doing, you know, tours and stuff too, but like I was just like to go back, you know, and play big stuff, and you go back, go back to the dirty clubs. It's like, oh, how can I make it a little more elevated? How can I make it different, you know? We played shows, but we started moving more towards music festivals. We started playing Comic-Cons. And right around, and that's in between those two records, Let Come From Outer Space, between those, started to really be, I know you know what I'm talking about. There's a major, like, resurgence of all these Comic-Cons, not just San Diego, New York was kind of newer too, actually, but all, like, it started to be, well, this year fucked everything up, but it started to be right around from probably like 2010 to 2012 to 2015, 16, 17, right around that era. I mean, every major city and every given week had a Comic-Con of some kind. And every little satellite suburb of those cities, if they're far enough away from the big city, had a little Comic-Con, like every freaking one. So I'm like, dude, all right, so we're full aliens. We're rocking balls. We have a backstory. We have comics. We have, you know, we have scripts written for stories and Netflix things, all this stuff. And it's like, I think we should be touring Comic-Cons. I mean, it just totally makes sense. So we started doing it. We started playing all the local nerd fests and this and that, and MegaCon out by us, and all sorts of, you know, wherever we could find it. And, you know, and we really, but still we're only keeping it in Florida. And you know, so that's kind of where it started evolving. And then in the midst of all that growth, again, like figuring out, okay, good, now we have like a mission. Even though when you're going to Comic-Cons, people are really looking to see, you know, Stan Lee signing something or this and that, you know, standing in lines for that. But, you know, we're there, and like people are like, okay, nobody has a problem with aliens running around in that kind of scenario. Like when you're in a club and you're the only alien band, you know, it's like, you know, people may be inclined to say, that's fucking, what is that? Or they might say, you know, what the fuck are you guys doing? You know, it's just, you know. But I felt comfortable, man. It was good in the Comic-Cons, you know what I mean, for us to be there. You know?
I love the concept. So let's that's where we're talking about the band, and before we get too deep into the Comic-Cons and nerdy stuff, let's run a song. Let's play our Brothers of Alien Rock song for people to hear. You sent me a few songs we can check out. Let's play Knock Knock for them. Yeah.
Is at the door, afraid to answer, cause we're not sure what all these foreign creatures. Don't answer the door. What if they cut off all the lights? What if we cannot see at night? We can't ignore these creatures. Let
Cool. We're back here with Fern from Brothers of Alien Rock, and we just listened to Knock Knock. Now which album was that song from?
Yeah. So that one, that one's from the second one. We Come From Outer Space. And the lyrics about that. What's funny, we had one of our shows we put on. We talked about playing Comic-Con and cons and fests and stuff, but we also did a few of our own. And one of them was called the Alien Summit. And there actually were a few other alien rock bands in town, and we brought them all together for this thing. And when we played, we had a Q&A, and somebody asked me, like, and at that point I wasn't used to anybody asking about lyrics. So the record just come out, and they're like, "Oh, what's Knock Knock about?" I'm like, funny you should ask. Because you listen to it, it sounds like we're creatures are invading, and like, oh, don't open the door and this and that. But it was really about when you can't pay your light bill and your lights get shut off, or somebody's knocking on the door looking for payment, and you're like, quick, hit the floor, and knock on the door. So that's kind of where the idea came from. But then I just evolved it into a celestial interpretation. But so it's funny about that one. But so that's from the second record. It's a good one. We play that one live too a lot. And we're playing the show at the end of the month. We're gonna play that one as well. So man.
So you mentioned you guys put together your own little alien music convention.
Yeah. There was it happened a couple times. It was Aliens. It was called, and I think it was 2017. And we just noticed there were two other bands in town that were also doing like they were like, one was like more of a punk band, but they're kind of like a little zany comedy kind of, and the other one was a band of killer robots. They were like these oversized, huge, like anime looking monster robots, and they were more artsy. You know what I mean? Like with us, I guess we're a little bit more getting the music down in a different way, but all the three bands were different. So I got this thing together, and it was just like a 1-day con thing, and it was just called Alien Summit. And we had vendors and artists and writers and just all sorts of stuff. Like, it's just like you'd see, it's like a little, mega comic, just like a little tiny one. And we had it at this brewery, and at this brewery, because this guy had a big stage, A and B, he like go crazy Star Wars collector. So we hit it off. So we did it at his venue, and it was good, man. So we had the bands there, and then we had like the summit we had like a press conference. You can find it online somewhere, but we did that, and it was good. And we had, like I said, we had people come up and speak. We had a comic store people come up and give their perspective on things, and like I said, artists and actors and directors, I mean, all sorts of stuff. So we did that in 2017, and then that was July, and then later on in the year I wanted to do a Alien Summit 2, and then it was probably just a little too early. Sometimes you got to put these things out a little in advance. So we ended up not really having another Alien Summit per se until 2018 when we went to Roswell, New Mexico. So
right, I was just about to ask about that one.
Yeah,
that was what was that show about? No, was that meant to be like a music?
Oh my God, man!
Thing, or was it like an actual like a alien get together and you guys just happened to fit
it definitely we fit the bill on it, because there are actually a lot of like starting to be a lot more UFO and alien festivals in particular. Like there's the cons, but there's also these like alien cons, out in Cali, and there's different versions of that everywhere too. And there's another one in Oregon, McMinnon's, I think, festival. But Roswell is known for the alleged UFO crash in 1947, where the newspapers, local newspapers said, right from the government army base that was there, it said, "Hey, we just got a flying saucer." Fully in the newspaper, boom, we just found a flying saucer. And the next day they retracted statement in the newspaper, and they said it was a weather balloon. So that's kind of like the beginning of a lot of ufology friends and circles that I'm part of, that they always point to that being, okay, there's the beginning of that duality of like the government says this and whoop, no, they say that. So there's like a kind of like a cover up. And that's where all conspiracy theories kind of started from, with that,
Right.
But yeah, but anyways, yeah. So Roswell, for that, they've had UFO festival for like, for whatever, several decades. I forget when it started. I think they had, I don't know where they're at with it now. I think they're, God, I don't even know how many they've had. I forget. I could probably find. Let me see. I could probably find. Let me see. You can cut this out, Steve. Let me see. Where was it? This one. Okay, this should say what the annual one it was. Stuff